Good morning. Welcome to Just for Today, a time of eclectic reading, sharing our perspectives, meditation, and prayer. I'm Reverend Rafe Ellis, Senior Minister and Spiritual Leader of the newly joined Centers for Spiritual Living Communities of Columbia and Greater Baltimore. Today is July 24th, and this morning's Just for Today is pre-recorded because I will be attending a memorial service for one of our congregants this morning. So I wanted to do this so that you have it and I can be in two places at once. Thank you, technology. So this morning I'm reading from The Spiritual Law of Cause and Effect, the Inner Mechanics of Mind, Law, and Divine Intelligence by Reverend Dr. Willow Frost. And I opened it up to page 103, and here's what it offers us in this paragraph that my eyes landed on. Understanding this shifts our relationship with both success and failure. We stop blaming circumstances, people, or even God for our experience. We begin to look inward, not with guilt, but with curiosity. What idea have I accepted? What belief am I embodying? What emotional tone am I transmitting into the law? These questions empower us to reorient, to reimagine, and to recreate. Wow. That is this human journey in a nutshell for me. It's that place where I begin to understand that what is happening, what I'm experiencing in my physical life is belief reflected, that circumstances are the manifestation of beliefs, of perspectives that activate, that move consciousness. And law plays those things out just exactly as it receives them. And we often talk about this idea of hidden beliefs. And what we experience in life brings our hidden beliefs into our awareness. I think what challenges us is when we forget that and then we blame circumstances for our experience rather than understanding there is some belief operating that is reflecting that belief back to us as circumstances, as experience. And one of the things that I have come to understand is that it's not just about my individualized beliefs, that we are each individualizations of a whole. And so all of belief is being reflected back to us. And that, as challenging as it can be, is where I find the greatest empowerment to reimagine, to reorient, to shift, because it is in that totality of one where our power lies to be a healing force for, within, and as the whole. And when I separate myself, when I go to that very human tendency of, I don't believe that, then I advocate my power to be a force for change. It's not about changing my belief. It is about changing belief. And that requires ownership of the belief. The the example that is always most tangible to me is that of Dr. Hugh Lin in the practice of Ho'oponopono, where he healed prisoners in a psychiatric prison without ever meeting them, simply by reading their files and owning the beliefs that demonstrated as the behavior that created each individual being imprisoned. What a powerful example to take that degree of ownership, to release all of the defensiveness and all of the separation and all of the guilt, shame, and blame that comes with separation. And I used to say it's not an easy path, but it can be when I stop making it hard. And that's part of, the belief that I get to be a part of changing. I get to stop telling myself how hard it is. I get to stop telling myself how unfair it is. I get to stop telling myself all of the rhetoric that separates me, and instead lean into what is true. And I get to be a part of telling truth to the lies in the beliefs that are showing up as pain in the human experience. And then the experience shifts. Circumstances are always going to happen. It's part of this human journey, as best I can tell. And maybe that's a belief I get to work on too. Maybe the more I lean into, I don't really know, but what I do know is what I'm made of. And I know that by spending time doing things like this. I know that by doing things like studying and contemplating and arguing with concepts. And my experience is when it comes back to principle doesn't change. And I've tested these things, and that's what I think we're all invited to do, is to experiment, to take principle to task, prove them in our own life. And as we do, we are participating in healing the whole experience of life. And from there, it's up to each of us what we embrace. I can't control what you think, nor do I want to. And I don't want to be controlled, nor will I allow myself to be. And I think that's the beauty of this spiritual journey, is that it's an open invitation of discovery, of curiosity. And are we willing to live in the question without an attachment to the answer? So that's what this reading brings up for me. And so I'm going to read that one more time and take us into our 5-minute meditation practice. And I invite you to just listen and then to contemplate. Be aware of what spirit within you has to say to you about this reading and about beliefs. Understanding this shifts our relationship with both success and failure. We stop blaming circumstances, people, or even God for our experience. We begin to look inward, not with guilt, but with curiosity. What idea have I accepted? What belief am I embodying? What emotional tone am I transmitting into the law? These questions empower us to reorient, to reimagine, and to recreate. There is only one life, one love, one peace, one power, one presence, one abundance, one intelligence, each infinite and eternal expressions of one consciousness. It simply is. Having no beginning, it has no end. Having no circumference, it is everywhere present. Its very center, everywhere present. Infinite beyond what my human brain can even conceive. This infinite allness, this self-existent isness that is the substance of creation, that is the substance expressing as creation, individualizing itself in multiplicity of intentional, one-of-a-kind, never-to-be repeated desires of itself to experience and express. And yet it's never separate. Individualized, but never separate. By whatever name we call it, God, the I Am, Spirit, the great mystery, it simply is. And I am that in form. And what is true of me is true of all creation. One, whole, perfect, and complete, infinite, eternal, everything. Infinite possibility, continuously expressing, giving to itself, breathing itself, being itself. And so what is true of me must be true of everyone and everything. Each, the wholeness of creation, expressing at its divine level of expression, never separate from one wholeness. So I live, move, and have my being in kinship, inseparable kinship, inseparable unity with all of life. One mind common to each. One consciousness, the substance of each. One body, many cells, one mansion, many rooms. And so I claim and affirm my spiritual responsibility, the spiritual ability within me to respond spiritually to every situation from, in, through, and as spiritual truth. To reimagine, to reclaim, to reorient, to recreate my experience of truth by releasing every untruth that distracts me. I claim and affirm that I am responsible, and so I am empowered by life itself to respond to life, revealing more life as the only healing that is ever required, revealing the truth of life, the self healing the self through recognition of the self. And I celebrate that just simply speaking the word into being The activity of law receives it in its totality and makes it so. And so I know that the very activity of this word spoken, of this prayer this morning, is activating healing within the whole, is activating a greater experience and expression of the true self, the divine self, the undivided self. And I claim my participation. I claim surrender to the activity of creation that I call law by letting go of all of the human doubts and fears that are part of the problem and part of the opportunity to heal. I claim and affirm a release of any lie within me of shoulds, and that I should make anything happen. And in letting go, I allow life to happen, unimpeded by my doubts and fears, unimpeded by the condition of my scripted outcome. I open to the greatest, most magnificent experience of life by releasing the restrictions of my own thought and the thought of all, the collective thought. So I let go. I surrender to the mystery, to the awe and wonder of life. I let go. Ashe. Shalom. Aho. Amen. Amen. And so it is. Namaste.